name of it.
The Fury.
The Fury. And they talk about they get the psychics and the remote viewing. They was telling people they had developed that in the 1940s. And it's not grandstanding or anything, but it's just that I ran into a little bit of trouble in 1994 with a group down in Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville, Florida is a group down there that there's a Baptist church that run the entire city. And so basically what had happened is they remote view, psychically project, and they check out all the lectures in the area. So because I came in and I did a mass libation, they had to send a brother in telling me that these white Wiccans or these witches wanted to see me. They wanted to give me a whole bunch of information. And so basically they wanted to draw me out. So what I'm trying to say is any kind of events like this, you need to start doing this and all. Like I said also, if you ride around with no insurance, till you get some insurance in your car, put some of this in there. Plus also too, you should do this just for wrecks and any other thing. So I think especially the 2000, we're going to have to start paying a whole lot of attention for the this is the spirit talking, so, okay? We're going to have to start paying a whole lot of attention to those spiritual aspects, because things is getting real dangerous.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir. Yes,
real dangerous. Yes, yes. This is Maya's rum, 100% Jamaican rum, which I think would be more fitting, you know, for that type of thing, other than some Smirnoff or whatever the deal is, you know, some Seagrams. That's the four corners, and like I said, I won't give them nothing that I won't libate myself. Now for the rest of you guys, it's a BYOB. And we just give them a big shake. Okay.
So I guess I'll be the moderator for this event. And, you know, if you have any questions, just raise your hand, you know, and I'll acknowledge you. You can ask any one of the scholars. You know. Any questions?
Dr. Frost, you said that everyone's
Please speak up so everyone can hear you.
Okay, Dr. Frost, you said that everyone's home is the most polluted place and that they should clean the air. And I noticed you had an air cleaner. What type of air cleaner was that? And I saw the different settings. Did they do a whole house?
Well, that particular air cleaner comes from the Alpine Company, and that's actually an industrial strength air cleaner. It's called an Eagle 2500, and it cleans approximately 3,500 square feet of air, ionizes and ozonates that much. So that if you have a 2,000 square foot house, that unit will definitely ionize that whole home.
You said you had one also for a car?
Yes. There's car units. You just plug it into your lighter, and it purifies the air in your car, which is very, very pervasive, especially in this environment or any large city where you're driving around. There's a lot of car jobs and everything else. I mean, it's a noticeable difference when you have an ionized ozonator in your car. Also, those of you that drive a lot and you notice you get tired, a lot of it has to do with too many positive ions in your vehicle, and you notice your energy just draining out. You put an ionizer in your car, you keep your energy levels up. What they've discovered is that a lot of the accidents that are caused right now, they initially thought that it was because of drunken driving. No, it's people falling asleep at the wheel.
Next question.
Regarding electromagnetism.
Please stand up.
Regarding electromagnetism, I think I was perceiving that you're saying they're trying to make a switch such that people who are positively to magnetism, that there's a change now. There's something afoot to change some of that energy origin to more, such as more electrical. And could someone just expound a little on that for me?
That sounds like Dr. Blair.
The Earth has an electromagnetic field. It should have a magnetic field. Electrical fields appeal to people who are not magnetism replaces electricity. Anything in here electrical, give me a bar magnet with about $15,000 to $30,000 and I'll take it out. Take it out in a matter of seconds. So magnetism overrides electricity. Everything in first world countries is electrical, electronics and electrical. It is going to start fading. Our bodies are electromagnetic units of consciousness. I always say I don't know about our consciousness, but it shows here you're using your consciousness. You're going to get more magnetic, and the more you can attune to the new radiations coming into the planet with magnetism, the better off you're going to be. Pretty soon, anything electrical, that they measure electrical, will not operate. Any viruses or germs or recombinants or anything along that line that operate on anything less than 121 megahertz can cancel out by beginning to raise up what we call resonance. That's about the only way I can make over. Make any sense?
Yes.
I know we're Dr. Gideon with it.
I have a question about an occurrence that I think that a lot of people might experience. Many times when you walk in front of a radio, if you walk in front of a radio, you might hear the waves. If there's a radio show going on, when you walk in front of it, then you get the static on the radio. And if you move away from it, then the waves can go through. Could you explain what that's about? Why does that occur? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I try not to leave home without my diet.
Okay.
2 or 3 diets, 4 diets. When I go on the airplane, I sit on the diet of Pittsburgh. How can I best say it? When you used to have on the TV set before they started getting cable and all this kind of thing, the radio. When you walk by them, you got waves because you were interrupting, and those waves were grounding out through your body. That's why you can touch one and amplify it, because it's using your body as a resonator, a step-up transformer, right? But it also means it's grounding out through your tissues. And microwaves burn from the inside out. You know, when you use a microwave oven, the plate that's on is cool, but the biological product is hot. Well, the same thing. Pretty soon you start getting soft tissue diseases, all kind of things. You hear people about burning from the inside out, giving off smells. That's because they're being microwaved. You have a chip inside, you walk to a radiation unit or a satellite came over. The technology now is tremendous. So all I can say is there are still natural things, usually based on magnetism for this time, that can offset that technology. And again, if you wear the diode, put the diode on the computer or on the TV set or on the hair dryer, or on any of these devices like that, then you're protected. And by the way, ours, we've got a bunch of others. Ours are simply recharging with broad spectrum light. Even hot lamps, if you want to put it in the sunshine, even when you don't see the sunshine, the rays are still coming through.
And address the person who you're asking the question to.
Well, actually, this question is going to be to them. And if you all can answer it one at a time. So that we don't at least miss out on something, I'd like to ask that each one of you give us your recommendations, suggestions, or what you would like to see for us to try to concentrate on doing when we leave from this place, in terms of just trying to make sure we take advantage of what we hear. What would you all suggest that we work on when we go back?
Thank you for that question, my brother. So much information has been given this weekend, and I want to give thanks and praise again to Janet and Tiba and everybody else who put this on, because it's been a tremendous affair. I've learned a lot. I've gotten so much energy from all of you who are here. But I can understand the question, because the question becomes, okay, we got all this information now, what do we do? And there's a very wise minister I know who says, must to say ain't nothing, must to do is the thing. And so, personally, what I've decided to do with all of this information that's coming through and all of these threats from on Earth and around Earth and above Earth, and positive and negative forces, I was searching for a lifestyle to kind of counteract that. And I decided, because my belief system tells me that there is an original divine energy which is programmed for good. They call it love, and I define love in pyramids of power as using your energy for self-love to move towards your greatest potential in high school. So I was trying to figure out how to move toward my greatest potential in high school. And a good friend of mine, my sister Patricia Newton, who's a psychiatrist and a dedicated African student, been going to Africa for 30 years now. By the way, I want you to be on the lookout for her book, Post-Traumatic Slavery Disorder. Very important book. And she has researched it and she has tied it into PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, which a lot of people have been getting grant money to use in the treatment. So she's counteracting all of that. So look for that. But in one of her lectures, she talked about the 9. I had her at a panel for the National Medical Association, and I wrote them down with me because I decided if I can do these, I'm going to be all right, no care what comes along. Because these ancient Africans had it together. These come back to the time of Ma'at. If you want to write these down, you write R-I-G-H-T at the top of a column, and then in the order of importance, write intention is the first one. What do you intend to do? What? Second is right thought. Third is right speech. Fourth is right effort. 5 is right action. 6 is right living. 7 is right relating. 8 is right understanding. And last but not least is wisdom, acquired by doing, not by being, but by what you do. And if I can live up to these, I think I'm going to be all right, don't care what comes down the pipe. So that's my contribution.
Basically, what I've been engaged in the last couple of years is we got to, and one thing we must understand is that everything is relevant. You know what I'm saying? I think, especially with a forum, I think we have to stress that, because we can have too many cheerleaders in each other's corners and stuff and won't listen to what other people have to say. You know what I'm saying? So you might have some Bobby Hemmitt people, you know what I'm saying, some Blair people. And when you get to it, you got to understand that all this stuff is relevant. The Africans didn't look at everything in this compartmentalized box. When you box in the spirit or you box in any type of concept, you literally make it a dead, inanimate object. You see what I'm saying? So all this stuff is actually relevant. I think that my contribution is we have to turn to those things that was purposely devised in making us fearful of. And what I mean by that is, like I said the other day, 2,000 years ago, with the onset of the Roman government and the European powers controlling things and putting forth this Christianity, all types of spiritual element that was vital to our survival was rude, satanic, evil, and unnecessary, or whatever you want to call it. And basically, they took what is called the underworld mysteries, and they made all that evil. And this is the key component to your psychological conditioning. So, some of these things that might appear to be gory, it just means that it is something that is dealing off of the physical plane and is not necessarily evil. So, you have to condition your mind also to look at all concepts of this spirituality. Give you an example. You have your book of coming forth by day, but you have a whole section on the book of gates. And when you go down into those book of gates, you will see monsters and all types of demons. And all these is basically components of your own inner self that has been turned against you, and you are now fearing this based on fundamentalism. You see what I'm saying? So to say, I think that's some things we need to start focusing on. Let me give you another example. There's one thing that is inevitable. Is death. This is a whole realm that we don't deal with. The concept of death. And I'm talking about the concept of death of not necessarily killing yourself, but falling in love with death. What do I mean by that? Psychologically, if you go in the Camite society, you see all types of funerary information, you know, on death. And one of the reasons which is plagued what they call the Western man, and now we are Western men, is not understanding the concept of death, which is the gateway to the ancestral realm. Now, there's a good book coming out of New Orleans called the Book of Azrael. And I think it's something called the Book of Azrael, something of the Angel of Death. If you can't find it, I'll get the information back to Brother T.B. King, and you can get this book. It's a big, thick book. And the book is designed for you to look at another concept of death, whereas it becomes a lover. And you can see that the Africans understood this. When we do come upon death, we say, oh, it's a piece of cake, it's a transition. You know, we always say we made the transition, but we really can't deal with that. So I'm thinking we're going to have to face all of those things that we fear, because we understand that those are systematically the way the European has turned out against us to shut us down. You see?
I appreciate Bobbyhemmitt for sharing that whole concept about understanding death, because in reality there is no death. We don't ever die. We only transform. We change form. One of the things I'd like to share as my contribution, many of you have, if you don't have my book already, many of you have purchased it, and there's a, let's see if I can locate it now. But in one of the sections, I make some quotes from the Wahoo, and it's talking directly about and making comparisons to some of the statements that Jesus was professed to say, and its correlations with many of the ancient traditions from the East, and what these things actually meant. And it's very, very important to understand that there's not anything that we really have to do. Okay, it is really about being, and it's about being the truth, and what does the truth actually mean to you. Lao Tzu says that the way that you experience the truth and experience the truth of the way, the great way, the integral way, is to purify your body and simplify your life. And what I share and bring to the table is that many of us, we want to become supernatural. We want to become superhumans. But before you can do that, you got to be natural first. You got to become just a human first. And so basically adopting and understanding the three treasures of life, really connecting with pure air, clean, good water, and eating the most wholesome food that you could possibly find, and moving your body. One of the biggest things we have to understand is that we have become congested in this society because of technology. Technology has made us sit down, but yet we're still very, very stressed. And ultimately, none of that really matters, because when transition comes, it comes. But some people will have a harder experience or a more uncomfortable experience making the vibrational shift if your physical conduit structure is clogged up. So the bottom line is that, you know, we really need to connect with the whole concept of getting our bodies in balance and getting our circuits ready to handle the increased vibrational frequency. Because if you got 50,000 volts coming in, your circuits can only handle, say, 7,000. You will burn up. And people are burning up today. That's why people are falling over with heart attacks and heart disease. That's why my cousin dropped dead, because he couldn't handle the energy coming in, and it hit this main electromagnetic resonator, which is sitting in the center of the chest. And I will basically close with this one statement from the 75th chapter of the Wahoo Ching. And it says, would you like to liberate yourself from the lower realms of life? Would you like to save the world from the degradation and destruction it seems destined for? Then step away from shallow mass movements and quietly go to work on your own self-awareness. If you want to awaken all of humanity, then awaken all of yourself. If you want to eliminate the suffering in the world, then eliminate all that is dark and negative in yourself. Truly, the greatest gift you have to give is that of your own self-transformation. And you all are all on track with that. You're all on point with that because you're here right now. Thank you.
I have a picture of a UFO with I've seen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
They don't exist. I have a picture of a reptile alien. They don't exist. I have a picture of a floater, usually above a reptile alien, 100 feet in the air to protect him or her. Some of them unisex. And if you don't get through that, you don't get through to them, and they can get out of that range and do harm to you. These are prototypes of 16 different kinds of aliens on our planet presently, some in line with the United States government. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamed of in man's philosophy. Dreams are real, and the time to dream is now. Because now, under a magnetic field, and that's what our planet is becoming, your dreams can come true. Matrix tried to show you that. 13th floor will say, the band tried to show you that. A higher consciousness is there. The real church, and the best church, is your mind. The best temple is your body. The best minister is your spirit and soul. Other than that, you are followers. You must follow wherever they lead. But if you follow your own higher consciousness and try to develop it, then you'll find others who are doing the same, and you have one of the best churches ever seen. It costs you nothing but time. Everybody wants peace of mind, health of body, and understanding of life. You have those three things, then you can begin to experience what is called love. It starts with self. Proud to be part of the panel. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Greetings. I can't speak too well, but I hope you all can understand me. It's been my honor and my blessing to be here today. This conference has brought a lot of wisdom to all of us. And money, society, as in push more. Can you understand me? The 5 principles of life that our ancestors gave us. The 5 principles of life that our ancestors gave us is peace, justice, love, truth, and freedom. These are the principles that our ancestors had given us from the past. Our people have been here for over 20,000 years BC. If we can follow those principles, then we can create a better society and a better world as a people. There has been a lot of wisdom that has been given to us this weekend that has connected us with our spirits, our minds, and our bodies. It's important that whatever you've learned here, that you go out and tell the people and spread the word. And next time when we meet again, we can have a bigger and a better way to spread our wisdom, our knowledge, and our culture. My plan is to go to the Caribbeans with the message that has happened here. I have talked to some of the people on the panel to take this message down to our sisters and brothers in the Caribbean and back to Africa. Thank you, and many blessings to you all.
My question is directed to my question is directed to God's people. I would like for you to tell about your
Oh, yeah.
What Fanny asked Bobby to tell about his experience.
Yeah. I've been on a quest for about the last 8 years, well, 10, 12 years, but as far as this particular magical journey, about the last 8 years, and I think I've gone through just about every ritual you can think of, from what you call light, Yoruba, satanic, or whatever you want to call it. And pretty much, it gave me more knowledge. But what I was looking for was some real deal power. Some real power. And each time I would go through these particular rituals, I would get an enormous amount of information. But I was, in this whole experiment of what you call ceremonial magic, and also as well as the research, the energy lines up based on how much information is coming in and what level you are in your spiritual journey. And so this whole thing, what I have been partaking upon the last, let's say the last 8 years, was trying to find out. It's like a needle, like you're trying to get a radio station, and you just about have the needle right at the slot and stuff, and you're working at trying to get the right type of frequency. Pretty much, what occurred was, like I said, the rituals that we did. There was a lot of healing rituals which basically worked right offhand. Which we might say that you should also look into as far as a form of alternative medicine also that we did. Number one, when we talk about these particular rituals, we're talking no more than a scientist basically manipulating the forces of what we call the earth plane. And as Dr. Wayne Chandler told you yesterday in the whole Hermetic thing. So basically the concept was a certain ritual to tap into a certain ancient power. Not necessarily ancient power that is harmonious, but also ancient power that is dangerous, but not necessarily dangerous to us. We're just talking about tapping into some of our most potent powers. The disappointment I had before is when I went to get this dangerous power that we needed, I was coming up short. And the Spirit was saying, in actuality, you can't hurt yourself with your own energy. So a lot of this particular stuff was based on Europeans messing with our stuff and couldn't take it, getting burnt up, and the eternal combustion, and they invoke certain spirits that can't get them out their house, and sooner or later they explode. All kind of stuff like this. And Nukian magic, where they get cut wounds and all this type of stuff. So when it came to me, I would get a heighten of energy, but I wasn't getting the type of power that I actually was looking for. And in actuality, the key was you couldn't get the power that you already had. It's just a matter of trying to understand that particular power. And to give you an example on the experiment, I had a spiritual breakthrough. Was that I told you, and I meant to say this in the lecture the other day, I said about the moving matrix, and they gave him the red pill, and they said, we're trying to locate you in the matrix. Well, in these metaphysical bookstores, they got a whole magic section, and people used to come up to me and ask me, man, well, if the white boys all scared of this magic and this spiritual stuff, why you got all that stuff in the stores? And it came to the conclusion that they knew that half that stuff didn't work. And the woman that wrote the book, her name was Telesco, and she put a book called Your Own Book of Shadows, where basically, and the spirits came to me and said, listen, any kind of magic that's going to work is the one you're going to have to write yourself, because we are the entities that is coming back. We are the Christ force that's coming back and all. So a lot of these magical books and stuff didn't work. Now, as a result, that means we had to locate the primal source that did work. So let me give you an example. They had all these magical practices, and I don't want to grandstand and all. I don't want to do that, but I just want to make this clear because I wasn't able to do it yesterday. I showed you a book called Goetia, and it shows all these seals, and they said that these seals are in the Sitakosh, and the Sitakosh is basically coming from the third eye. So we know that this has something to do with our own melanin powder. But these particular systems used to operate on the planet at a certain time, based on the priests kept this particular energy or the generators alive. But as the priesthood died out, or they had pillaging and invasions, they either had to go up underground and they died out, or some of all these magical texts, they became defunct because the spirit that used to operate under those magical texts, they have to go to another system because it's no more than people keeping their memory alive. They have to be worshipped so you can tell them in actuality you're helping them by letting them know that they are still alive. They'll get swept back in the whole mass force of energy. So they go to the next phase of who's still having a worship system or practitioner system. You see what I'm saying? Now, we talking about religion, that's not even based on this spiritual thing. That's based on basically ceremonial inspiration. But, so we had to locate where these actual spirits were. Now, if you go get the movie Highlander 1, they said that we are the Highlanders, we are immortal, and we're supposed to walk the earth until the gathering in a far, far land not yet established. Well, this is somewhere in Scotland in the 1500s, and the faraway land in actuality was America. Though that Highlander script came from the Hermetic scripts, Walter Scott's book Hermetica, Copenhagen's book Hermetica, in that prophecy that there would be a gathering of people in a land, the gathering of Africans in a land far, far away, which would mean the entire Caribbean and the whole route of the slave trade. And so the whole route of the slave trade, and that would be the gathering. Now, that leaves us down to two major systems that came from Africa. Mainly your Yoruba, and mainly, which would, your Santeria thing, and mainly your voodoo, or your voodoo. But it specifically stated in the Kabbalistic text as well as several other texts that this gathering was supposed to be a consortium of different tribes other than one actual tribe that was in Africa. So your voodoo gives you, your Yoruba gives you the major hierarchy, but your Vodun is a collaboration of about 15 different tribes, the Dahomey, the Hausas, they even have Ethiopian, the Bambara, and 15 or 16 different tribes. So this is the gathering point based on this particular energy. So the source of the energy was the same source of energy that kicked Napoleon in behind. So whenever I put together this magical work in about 3 weeks ago, I got the juice that I was looking for the last 8 years, and before I could even hit the bed, it was happening. You see what I'm saying? It was happening. You see. So, and to make a long story short, I tapped into that particular vortex, and I want to say this particular part. They have 20, 30, 40 Kabbalahs. They even have tons of books on Yoruba and all, but you can't find in existence at one time over 5 books on Vodun, and most of those particular books on voodoo was written in the 1950s. Maya Durin, the guy Metrix and all that. But there's one good book, which is the one you see these particular beads or whatever, Veves they call them, is the book Secrets of Voodoo by Milo Regard, who grew up in Port-au-Prince and who was an initiate, which I would say is the best book, because not only that, it gives you over 250 pantheons. So these other books, they will give you 2 or 3 of these the Veves, which is these symbols, and they'll give you the main general pantheon of about 7 or 8 entities. But there's over 250, and that particular book gives you the 250, and was one of the books that I was instrumental in tapping into some actual energy. And I will go as far as to say this about this juice. Some people showed up at the conference that we had in Atlanta 2 weeks ago, was going to try to shoot a brother. I already had it. I knew I was going into the ambush 2 weeks before it happened. But they didn't even know. The day that they showed up, I was the one that actually purified the entire stage with the Vodun energy, and if anything would have gone down, they would either burn up, or the bullet would have ricocheted, or whatever. And whatever it was, the power was the energy was so powerful till nothing happened. You see what I'm saying? So this is also saying that we need to align ourselves with those forces. Anything that kicked Napoleon behind, now they was calling him the first Antichrist or whatever. And they got whipped down there in Haiti. So this is some stuff that we need to line up with and quit being scared of. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of the aspects.
Okay, step over to the mic, please. So like I want to say, you know, Bobby said that the spirits are coming in us, in our children. And if you have doubts of that, look at how much energy and strength and willpower young black kids have today. They come here ready to kick butt. You know, they don't want to sit up here and sit in school and hear this 2 + 2 is 4 stuff and sit there and be quiet. They got too much energy for that. And they get mad at us when we try to make them listen to this dumb stuff. Consider that. Go ahead.
Wow. 2 issues that will keep you busy for the rest of the day. One, which I think you all can address, is this issue of fasting. And 2, the issue of the importance of our traditional African rhythm and music. I would like all of you to speak on either or both of those. And I will say to the audience, I stand here as a living witness. One of my music teachers and mentors, who some of you may know of, the great Roy Brooks, one of Detroit's greatest drummers and writers and arrangers, told me years ago when I first met him, he said, brother, if you want something from God, fast. So some of you who know me know for the last 3 years I've been under attack by the Negroes in the school district of Pontiac. So last month, February, on my birthday, I decided to fast. And the Negroes just got out of my way last week. Running. Thank you.
I would like to elaborate, going back to what Bobbyhemmitt said about Haiti. I was in Haiti last year, June till October, and what he's saying is true. I am a priestess, voodoo priestess, as well as river priestess. She follows us as a vocal priest, which is a Buddha priest. It's very important that you learn certain wisdom, but you have to be careful about certain things that you become knowledgeable of, because you can come on certain spirits and you don't know what to do afterwards. So it's very important to talk to someone who has wisdom and know about these things. In essence, to what our brother said about fasting. Fasting is very important because it is a form of cleansing, and it's always good to clean when something that is not good upon you to flush and bust spiritually, mentally, and physically. Cleaning has always been important. Music is the rhythm of your soul. In Africa, you go to bed with music, you wake up with music. The drums are always beating. There's a ceremony for everything, for birth, for death, for weddings. There's always music. Music is a rhythm to our soul. In the Bible, it says, make a joyful sound to the Lord. We are the lords of the universe.
You know, it's interesting. My father's from Jamaica. My grandmother was a conjurer when I was born in psychic. And I used to see things, flowers and blooms. I thought everybody did. Then I see faces in the clouds, and I talk to them. I knew everybody didn't. Then I got in trouble, so I stopped seeing them. Then I couldn't see them. And I was reborn. I believe not a religion, Christianity. I'm a Baptist ministry, by the way. I was. Don't publicize anymore. Gave up my church, walked away. That's it. Chicago. I want to say the church is going here. But I'm not a hypocrite. Then my power began to come back. I channeled, old circles. Don't hear me talking like that. I remember. And I've had an alien contact, an extraterrestrial contact, and it's on record. In New York, everybody heard about it. I say this to you. Not only are there more things in heaven and earth, but there are more things in this cosmos, but all of us can dream about it because the cosmos is still inside of us. You got to first start with the delegation that you chose to come in. That is your temple. And when one person can clean out your temple, that's you. Any help you get, you pay for it. Either by time, money, or whatever else. Money's cheap, they can say. At this time, I believe on this planet, as I said before, 16 kind of different extraterrestrials and aliens. There's a difference, a big difference. On the Archangel Mesa, Dulce, New Mexico, down there we're walking and talking, making bluebirds and hybrids and everything else. They're spraying your city as you sit here. You see not the sky anymore. You see nothing but just diaspora. It's not the diaspora that came from the mother country. Although for some of you, that is not your mother country. The Moorish is your mother country. The real Moorish, but you don't understand. Some of you do still think of Morocco and Mauritania. You're not from there. This government honors nothing because it is not a government of the people. The world government, the New World Order, is to contact certain people from certain areas in space, and you wouldn't like it. But in this very earth, there are still people waiting to be called on. Inside the earth, not outside of the heavens. Still things down there waiting for you to use. You can get past the veil. And the new sun energy can help you get past that veil. But each person gets through that veil by themselves. And once you've proven it by yourself, you will meet others who have crossed the veil. They don't worry about bad spirits or demons, which is nothing but demonstrations, strata demons and ionic formation. They're all within you anyway. And new souls will come to you as sons and daughters for various reasons. And if you can't control them, then the unliberated spirits will take them. Couldn't agree with what he said about these young souls coming in now. They are your future and your past, and you manifest them. But they're taking it. As they come into the body, shoot them into the right heel with encrypted chips. They can control it. Even microwave and burn them up from the inside out later on. And you're allowing this because you're giving birth in those hospitals. I don't want to go on a long time. Bobby is long-winded as I am. And I respect Bobby sometimes. But I like Bobby all the time because he's a man. Any man, any form, I respect. I don't like wimps because this is not a time. But I simply say, go with it. Take the daggone time instead of going to churches on Sunday through Friday and go with it. You'd be surprised what a sermon you can hear. You can't even begin to learn until you speed up your thoughts. Birds chirp 7 times faster than you think. For sure. And you're supposed to create birds. Everything is slowed down here. 7th plane, 7th heaven. Everything is still 7 times slower. I got through grad school very fast by learning things from metaphysics and practicing. I'll give you something for free. Give you something for free here. Charge money for this. You record word for word, if you want to a microphone and to a tape, a cassette tape, the book that you're reading that you're supposed to learn. And read it. And then you have to speed up that tape 7 times. Hear me? 7 times. The ways of doing it, you can figure it out. Once you get it, you fast forward and speed it up, and if it's coming, you can hear it and understand it, you can't learn it. But once you speed that up, then you access the right brain, and it remembers everything word for word. They used to say I cheated on tests. And I had to let them catch me cheating a couple of times, otherwise they would lock me up. The rest of them told me out of school and lock me up. Because I learned how to access the right brain. We're slowed down here 7 times. It's a slow class. But it's changing. And you must learn to start using your inner thoughts and stop letting people tell you how to do it. Go inside with that question. Go there with a clean body and spirit, free of drugs. Last thing you need is melanin before drugs. We even got, I just talked about it. That is that. I don't want to know. The power is locked within you. You can access it anytime you take yourself in hand and do it. Spend 15 minutes a day, naked if you can. Turn off the radio, TV, close the blinds, and tell people you are gone out of town. And go on the biggest journey of your life within you. Go in with the question, wake up with an answer. You can do it anytime you want. I think.
Thank you.
I didn't get an opportunity to spend much time with Dr. Blair or Master Bobby, but both sitting between both of these powerful brothers, I can feel the spirit resonating to the outer limits of the galaxy. I mean, I'm sitting here, ready to get happy. Addressing the fasting issue, I have positives and then other concerns about those that would like to explore the realm of fasting. First of all, if you are considering fasting and you're going to say you're going to do juices or that's not fasting. That's a liquid diet. If you're going to fast, we're talking about water and actually very little of it. One of the things that you want to pay close attention to when you play the fast is the environment that you're fasting in. That not only are you trying to clean your own temple, but you need to make sure that the outer temple that you're fasting in is clean, because you open yourself up. Fasting opens you up. It opens you up to spiritual energy, and it opens you up to many other things that are present. It makes you extremely psychically sensitive. You also want to pay attention to the people that are around you during the fast. And actually, it's better to don't tell folks you're fasting, because they will project their negativity towards you based on how they feel about fasting. Which usually, you're going to starve with that type of an attitude. And that can throw a wrench in your machinery. I had my ascendant experience 10 days into a 14-day fast. Off the coast of West Africa, at 0 longitude, 0 latitude. I shot out of my body and went to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Was not intentional. It was just something that happened. I was meditating 3 hours a day. I was going within, as Dr. Blair had mentioned, and that's where the truth lies. And when I went within for an extended period of time, I was able to go out into the macrocosm. And I came back with a very, very simple message: unconditional love. And that happened in 1977. And I never forgot that experience. I haven't had the same type of experience again, but I know it exists. And it was a form of dying and being born again. And all of you can have that experience if you haven't had it already. But again, you do need to access purifying your temple to experience it. And at the same time, when you purify your temple, you need to make sure that your temple is capable of allowing your other energy bodies to leave. Because sometimes you leave and you can't get back in. Okay? And if you vacate the premises and you haven't done the necessary protective rituals to protect your temple, somebody else will inhabit it for you. Okay? So all of these things are very important. Being able to integrate all of these principles in to your personal development program. You cannot make a separation. And that our ancestors had a package program that was clear, and it was divine, and it works. And right now we're discovering all of these pieces and putting it all back together. And each one of these systems all has a piece to the puzzle. And if you integrate it, it really works. Many of the things, especially that Bobby has talked about, things like this, I was having these kinds of experiences as a child, especially tapping into the so-called dark world, the world of the underworld. And I was never afraid of it. People used to call me this weird, mystical ghoul because I wasn't afraid of the dark. I I wasn't afraid of the boogeyman. I wasn't afraid of going in the graveyard. I wasn't afraid of going down in the basement by myself. And I didn't know why. I wasn't afraid of so-called monsters and demons and vampires and all of that. They were my buddies. And now, hearing this brother say this, I said, oh, okay, I was just on point.
That's right.
So, and as far as the rhythm and the drum, Western science, it takes them, they're so slow. But, you know, they've discovered that everything is music. Now the ancients who developed the movement systems of Tai Chi, which didn't come out of China, its origins came out of the continent. They called it playing Tai Chi, and the verses, they recognized it as the songs of Tai Chi. They didn't call it doing Tai Chi. They recognized that everything that you were doing had a musical resonance to it. And that now they even know that everything that's going on, if they're able to capture that, even the DNA structure, they can hear it. It makes a song. That's what universe means. Universe. One song. One love. One heart. That's my contribution.
I want to address the music thing also. We produce the greatest music on the earth in full, and we got all we could get, and it had reached its peak before 1990. That's the time. 1990 was 10 years ago, was something that happened, and it happened for a reason. 1990 was the year that they scaled back the albums and went totally to CDs. The LP, they found out that in the 70s, after putting all types of scunion on black people's behind, doing the workforce and everything, black people was able to shake off things and heal themselves, living for the weekend. Yes. But it was based on the LP. Anytime you have a black granite disc, anytime, you know, they even tell you with tires on a car, the rubber comes out white. They have to cook it down to get that black. You see what I'm saying? If they dyed it would turn gray or something. But they cook it down, they cook that rubber down to get that black. Anytime you cook something down, you cook it to its most carbonated form, ash. And that's what melanin is, carbonic ash of some gods that died before that now live inside of you. Now, they took that album and they understood that that black disc, remember when it was a circle, and it was cooked down to carbon. And most needles are made of diamonds, which is what? Compressed carbon, or sapphires, which are still a stone in a form of carbon. And they understood that based on that, with those albums and those 45s or whatever at that time, that you was healing yourself based on the music and the music that you produced. So they went to CD because a CD has 2 tracks, and you can tell this now. All you have to do is get the new DVDs or compact disc. You'll see the DVDs, they come, you can get the widescreen version, or you can get the pan scan version, the regular version. Well, it's one disc. How can they put 2 versions on one disc? You see, and that means that there's, and Dr. Blair talked about this, there's a frequency that you are hearing, and you dancing off that foolishness, but there's something up under there that's giving you a whole nother frequency to tell you to kill yourself, hate yourself, and every other thing, and get to become sick and all that. So on the music aspect, number one, you got to go back to, because the Vodun energy is created through jazz. Because anything created out of New Orleans, even the blues, especially jazz, which is the highest form, that Vodun energy and these spirit energies, the Santeria, is to go back and get you some Duke Ellington, especially some Ella Fitzgerald. Anybody who can break glass with their voice when they're living, you need to gravitate towards when they become gods. Some Ella Fitzgerald, because a lot of people, the first thing they do, they'll tell you to go get Coltrane, Dizzy, the people from the 50s, because the majority of the people in here remember the 50s, because the ones that was our grandparents in the 20s and stuff was not around. So, but you need to get you some early people like some Louis Armstrong, some Dizzy Gillespie. I mean, some Ella Fitzgerald, you know, some Duke Ellington, some Count Basie. and tap back into that particular energy also, as well as the African drum. But one of the keys now is, and I want to cut this off, but one of the keys now, you run out and you get the CDs. Go back and get you a turntable. They sell them now at Radio Shack. You can get one now. They took the last turntable that they sold, those Techniques. Radio Shack copied the best one, and you can get it for like $100, and you can replace your needle there. Or you can go, you can go to the pawn shop and get turntables for $15 and $20, and start back going to used record stores and getting this stuff on LP, because that was the healing force, and that's why they cut it out in the 90s. Because a Sufi master once said that the religion that is going to come is not going to be a religion; it was going to be a music. But we produced that music in the 20s to the 1980s and the 1990s. So basically tapping into that particular aspect.
Those are two very important questions, fasting and music. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Fasting, in all my training in medical school and after, they never talked about fasting. I didn't learn about fasting until I met Dr. Albini Fulton through Brother Big Ray. Thanks to Dr. Albini Fulton, I went on a 17-day fast first. The only reason it wasn't 40 days, which she does, is she had told me the signs to recognize when your body is clean and when to break the fast. So in 17 days, my body was clean for the fast. The next fast I did was for 12 days because I was even cleaner. So I recommend fasting. If you look around in nature, all of the creatures in nature fast when they get sick. Take your domestic dog and cat, if it gets sick, it will not eat. Except to go out and find the right grass. But it will not eat that food that made it sick. Now what we have to understand is if a food is making us sick, consider fasting from that particular food. Because it makes sense. If it's making you sick, if it's depressing your energy, fast from that. Now I agree with Mike. A pure fast is a water fast, because what you want to do is bring in distilled water, which is absolutely pure, to put the toxins in your body in solution. So when you fast, fasting is primarily for cleansing. It will cleanse body, mind, and release the spirit. The spirit's always clean. We just pollute it. But if you fast, do it for cleansing. If you're going to do extended fast, do it under the supervision of somebody who knows what they're doing, who knows the symptoms when you're getting too toxic, or if you're cleansing too fast. If you're very toxic, you especially need somebody to supervise you, because when that toxin comes back out of your body, you get just as sick as when it went in. And you can think that the fast is making you sick, but it's the process of cleansing that's doing the job. So you do need supervision. But personally, I now fast every 7th day. So you pick the quietest day for you out of the week. And when you get up that morning, either take an herbal cleanser or an enema. I recommend that you can use a teaspoon of garlic powder and a quart of distilled water. Any water that goes in your body should be pure, whether it's going in your rectum or whether it's going in your mouth. If it's going in your body, it should be pure. Do that to cleanse it out, because once that body starts to eliminate those toxins, it overloads the normal function of the bowel, so you want to clean it out. You don't want it to make a second passage through your bloodstream. If you will fast with the distilled water when you first get up until you get hungry, when you get hungry, get some organic grape juice and mix it half and half with that distilled water. It will kill the hunger right away and allow you to continue for the 24 hours. So Mike said it's very important, though, the surroundings when you're fasting, the people you're around. It's best to do it by yourself. But I strongly recommend it, and I do it as a practice. And if I'm on my case and I do it every 7th day, that means in a year I've done a 52-day fast. It's just not good to combine together. With regard to the music, there are some professional musicians that I respect who have told me there's a certain beat that's being used to control people negatively. And we got some professional drummers in here, and they use the drums to do it. And so what I want you to do is when you hear this beat that I'm going to beat on this table, watch what happens to the people around you. If you're out in a nightclub and they're playing this beat, Watch what happens to the vibration in the club. It's this beat. Just keep listening for it. Inside the third beat. You hear that underlying any kind of a piece, whether it's gospel or whatever it is, they are using it to tap into your baser emotions and get you out to this higher level. Musicians, Brother R, Dr. John Diamond, several of them have mentioned this. So, and those of you who are professional musicians, Brother R told me they used to notice on the stage when they did this beat, folks would start fighting in the audience, turn the club out, you know. But this beat underlies a lot of stuff when they want to sell something. Listen for that underlying. There are a lot of rhythms out here. This is not the best one for you, according to what they're telling me. And one of the guys who did it is a kinesiologist, so he muscle tested and the energy level dropped when this beat goes on. So you start listening for that beat. Make your own conclusion, but start listening for that beat. And if you hear that beat, check out what's happening to your own body, mind, and spirit during that time. What you be thinking about?
That's the one that they say that we will rock you.
We will,
Right.
yeah, we'll
They
rock
use
you.
that.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Everybody's talking to you.
Okay, I'd like we only have 10 minutes left. So from this point on, please address your question to one person. Try to keep the question brief and answer.
I was asking one question for the brother. He had lost his voice. He wanted to address it to Dr. Blair. When the electrical systems change over to the magnetic system, what are we going to do for lights?
Magnetism gives off light. You put two magnets of a high intensity and speed them up based on the Gauss, and you see it glow. When the entire planet forms a ring, which is what's happening, they're fighting. It will be a natural lighting system. And then wherever you have magnets, there will be growing power. I wanted to say this because I didn't address the music issue. Now, again, it's time back. Okay. The music and the A&R men started off with the Beatles and stuff like this, which was phenomenal. We were put over here. They had undertracking, where you thought you were listening to something downbeat. You were getting to your right brain and making you believe other things. And then they had on the jacket a number to call, psychically tuned into it. And I think they said they had 18,000 people, 1,800 people that called from the United States to England who read that jacket. They also have neurophones. You can put it around the room, the church, anything else, and while you're watching the stage, they access your right brain with messages that have nothing to do with the speaker. Rock conscious perspective, because people there get drugs, drop acid, the rest of it, and you're already half out of your mind, they take the rest of it. They don't give it back. Also, through the musical play that they have now, you can just about control anybody, because I'm also a hypnotist. And I know that we use little tricks off and on, a person say, anybody can get that. Nobody can fight it. In fact, the more you fight it, the more you have to think about it, therefore the more susceptible you are. There's so many things now, and music is the easiest way to reach the high and low of melody, get into that pattern. You have to watch those patterns. You notice now all the young people talk with their hands. They can't talk with their mouths. They have to talk with their hands. Rhythm is being decapitated. And now, whether the melody is becoming a tool to be used against it. We can talk about music from now on. In fasting, I think a lot of people understand. I used to work for Dr. Fulton, and I'm the one who brought Dick Gregory to meet Dr. Fulton. And I was with Dr. Fulton along with my son, who was raised under Dr. Fulton's care. So as I say, that I understand. But music and rhythm is your key, and they're misusing it. They're using it against you this time.
Yes, sir. Well, one quick comment. The ancients said that the true fast was the urine fast. Okay, now my question, or to my comment question. I've been to quite a few spiritual conferences and things like that, and it seems that we're missing a component that is part of the ancient system that nobody's talking about. I don't know if everybody's scared or folks don't know. Is that we're missing the drug connection. Now, we live in a society that say no to drugs, but I'm not talking about chemicals that they produce or taking 10,000 pounds and breaking it down to one particular gram. I'm talking about power plants that the ancients use. They always use power plants. They have plants for reading, they have plants for travel, they have plants for regression in time, and these plants are available to you probably right in the alley. I'm talking about mushrooms, I'm talking about chat, I'm talking about yopa, I'm talking about psilocybin mushrooms, I'm talking about the stuff that they use to travel. Now, it's better, of course, if you purify your body and fast before you take it. But nobody's mentioning, nobody's talking about, I'm talking about direct experience. I'm not talking about and I think something happened like this. I'm talking about direct experience. You want to see the guys? We can go and get the stuff and we can see the guys in 12 hours. And sit here and have a group experience with the guys and talk to them. You want to read them and do that? There's a plant for that. The stuff come off the wall. It's three-dimensional. So folks talking about they're reading and doing that and they're not taking the plants. They're not doing it unless they can disembody or something. And nobody's talking about this. Anybody can talk about it or make some comments on power plants, drugs as they call it.
As the elder on the planet, maybe I need to do that because first thing, and Mike brought it out very powerful when he asked you about the 8th leading cause of death. Understand when you're talking about drugs that the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association controls medical education and medical practice and medical postgraduate education in this country and in the Western world. And if they control it, it means it's designed to sell drugs. And the drug problem is so powerful for two reasons. On the supply side, it's very powerful because it's the biggest moneymaker on the planet, which is why you see all of these drugstores popping up in places where if you do a study, it wouldn't make sense to put a new drugstore and watch how these CVCs and Rite Aids are popping up in areas where so-called depressed areas where there ain't no money, everything is moved out, things are boarded up, but here's a brand new drugstore. That's part of a plan. Because the supply side who's making the money and controlling it plans to give you all that you want. The need side, the demand side is coming from pain. Spiritual pain, emotional pain, physical pain. Everybody takes a drug to feel better. Now, our ancient African ancestors had the most powerful one of all, spirit. And they used plants. Plants can be very helpful. People are always asking me, because I'm a medical doctor who has a holistic and optimal health approach, what's the herb I can take for this disease or that disease? I always tell them first, understand that an herb is a plant. And if you're eating a plant-based diet, you don't have to go out and buy a lot of herbs. Because plants can cleanse you. Plants can purify you. You just have to learn which ones to eat. And he mentioned stuff growing around you. The most powerful plant that grows around everybody is the dandelion. You can use the leaf, you can use the root, you can use the flower. Those of you who are addicted to coffee, get yourself some dandelion root tea, which looks like coffee, tastes like coffee, but doesn't have caffeine. Diabetes is very common with our folks. Dandelion greens are very potent for them. Also your string beans. So learn about the medicinal qualities of plants. But if you're in love with plants, understand that a plant-based diet, which is a vegan diet, will cut down on the need for the therapeutic herbs. If you want to get rid of the pain, free your spirit. If you free your spirit, you won't have all of that pain. You have bliss instead. All of the spiritual masters that I'm aware of teach that the ultimate emotion when you're spiritually aware and on target is bliss, joy, always. So that's the end.
Thank you, panel. You had one burning question, and I had to teach them how to.
On the power plants or the drugs, I would curiosity myself as far as you don't ever hear anyone talking about the specifics of that science that are, and I was wondering if anyone on the panel could talk more in specifics of shamanism, the things they use, the drugs they use, why, and the specific implications in traveling and manipulating spirit and learning from within, and that sort of thing.
I'll try to address that. Are you speaking about Native American shamanism? Or are you speaking about indigenous
people?
Yeah. Basically, the indigenous people and where the shamanistic rituals developed from, they developed from, worshiping the energy of the earth and the energy of nature. And they knew that everything that they needed to develop themselves and experience God, if they went deeper into the planet and deeper into the richness of nature, the higher that they could fly. And the development of certain, especially, say for instance, psilocybin mushrooms and some of the other, even cannabis, even tobacco, all those things were used in traditional rituals. And of course, in the West, a lot of these things have been, made illegal, like peyote and all those different things, and that they were used in ceremonial rites to alter the consciousness so you could directly experience high vibrational frequencies. One of the reasons why there's not a lot of information and specifics about how to and what for is because these systems were very, very ancient, and the people that used these things then, they had a different temperament, they were closer to nature, and that their body requirements for what they took were very different for us. So if we took the same types of things that they took then, we could have maybe some possible adverse effects as far as losing their mind or having a toxic overdose. That's why it's so important that a person get in touch with, if they can possibly find someone who has a direct lineage or is involved in, and as the sister was saying, having a master, to teach you and carry you on these journeys. There's an ancient tradition in the sect of complete reality Taoism in China where 3,000 devotees of that particular system over the last probably 1,500 years, they left their bodies and didn't come back because of different herbs and different metals and other different potions that they were formulating to create the immortal body. And they experiment with themselves. They said, well, look, we live forever anyway, so if I give up the ghost this time, I'm still going to be able to, remanifest at another point. But they took these different things and they fasted. And the fasting that they did was even not the urine fast. They didn't take anything in. They did not take any substance, no water, nothing, and that they fasted until they would leave their body. The masters would do protective rituals to protect their body while they were journeying. And then after maybe 3 days or so, they would come back in and share their experiences. Sometimes people would not come back. One particular book, I think it's called The Initiation of a Modern Taoist Wizard or something like that. It's the true life accounts of a guy who was initiated by some masters in China, and they took him on a journey. He fasted for 28 days till he died. He basically starved to death. They guarded his body. He went on a journey to the other world, came back after 3 days, and talked about his experiences. But even then, for 5 years, he went crazy. He went crazy. He was just totally wiped out. And then after he got in balance, and his masters were with him the whole time and protected him. But even at that point, he almost lost his mind. Part of it had to do with the environment that all this took place. It was in the 1960s when China and Japan were in the war. We're talking about the Cultural Revolution, all of this toxicity that was going on the planet at that particular time. He was exposed to all of that, and he was so vulnerable that it did almost drive him mad. So it's good to have this information. I personally have experimented with some different types of medicinal plants and other mood altering drugs, and they're very powerful. But you definitely have to have the right mindset going in, that you're going in to do this not to party, but to have a serious journey, and you're around people that have that same vibration, or else it can be extremely dangerous.
Yeah, I felt moved to say this because the question is so important about drugs. The thing to remember is addiction, that we have used that word. Addictions can be positive or negative. Addiction, by definition, is a habit that controls you rather than you controlling it. Now, if this habit that controls you moves you towards your greatest potential and highest good, we can call that a positive addiction, like exercise and certain other things. If, on the other hand, it's detracting from that, that's a negative addiction. Now, something very powerful that ex-addicts taught me during the 32 years I was a family doctor during sick care. If any addict came in my office and told me that they had kicked an addiction, I don't care whether it was heroin, cocaine, tobacco, alcohol, they told me that they had kicked it cold turkey, I would not let them out of my office until they told me what that process was. And without exception, without one exception, they all told me that when they got down to what people call rock bottom, what they found down there was spirit. When they found spirit, they knew two things. They knew that there was something about them that they could love, and they knew there was something about them that was powerful enough to kick the addiction. And when they tapped into it and worked with it, they kicked the addiction. People whose mind was so messed up that they never found spirit or recognized spirit, those are the ones who chose to go on until they exited this plane and died. But all of them taught me that, and I never forgot that lesson from them. That if you trust that spirit that's in you, and you get to that, you can conquer addictions. Don't care what the drug was. Nobody had a drug that they couldn't conquer.
You're going to be Dr. Blair is going to have the last 2 minutes. I promised our wonderful security bobbers here at the school that we were going to be out of here tonight. And that means that we're going to have to do this again. Dr. Blair.
Yes. Pharmaceutical drugs are not biological herbs. Please keep that in mind. Pharmaceutical drugs are not biological herbs. What they're giving to the young people are pharmaceutical drugs. And they're buying the crack cocaine from cops and everything. Okay. They want them to have it, all right? If they want them to have it, they shouldn't want it. Biological herbs that take you there are not pharmaceutical drugs. Please understand that. Secondly, I still try to say tools are the best thing to have until you can develop the power to do it all by mind and do it all through spirit. Those diode plaques will transmute the poisons, caffeine, and nicotine out of tobacco, out of coffee. You may not like what you're drinking yet because it changes the taste, and that ground then cannot become radioactive or poisonous. Sit the coffee on it, sit the tobacco on it, put one on your daggone cigarette pack, and now the poisons will not enter into your body. You can sit on one and the poison will be kept out of your body. Until which time you can transmit your own spirit to do it, you need tools. Diodes are tools.
Thank you very much, panel. Let's give it a big hand.